This episode of Epic Thoughts is brought to you in part by StreamYard. Yo, you've been talking about doing a podcast forever and you don't know where to start. I get that. Yo, StreamYard is here to help you. StreamYard does everything for you. It sends it to all the places that you want the podcast to go. If you have an RTTP, it'll send it to it. You have a YouTube channel, it'll send it to it. You have a Facebook, it'll send it to it. As a matter of fact, you can even go live on your computer and send it directly to where you need it to go. You can also have audio and video downloads so you can send it to your Spotify page. It does everything for you. It has video assets. You can add videos. You can even add media now. You can add text. You can add scrolling text. You can do so many different things. The list goes on and on and on. StreamYard is here to help you take your podcast to the next level. Hey, here at Epic Thoughts and Heritage Park, we use StreamYard for everything on our podcast. And so, listen, I'm telling you, it's easy to use and it's great to use. So be a part of the team. Join StreamYard today. Click the link in the description and get started. All right? God bless. You can't cry about having a lot on your plate when the goal was to eat. This is Epic Thought. B stands for Broncos, BMW, bangs, bang, goes on the bear bars. If you see us coming up down the aisles, you'll act like we are stars. We ain't trying to make a joke, just trying to make it known that people of the world, if you love gay girls like bras on the Cadillac Brown, bars in a Cadillac Brown. That's what the word is. Bars in a Cadillac Brown. Welcome to Epic Thoughts. I'm your host, Ramon. Yo. Have you ever heard that song before? He's crying in the engineering room. He never talks to me, but he's crying in the engineering room. Shout out to Tyler in the engineering room. That was an old song, bro. 1990. It was brought to my attention. And I was like, yo, I remember this song all the time on the radio. It was hilarious. Cadillac Brown. It was called B Girls, I think. B stands for Broncos, BMW, bangs, Brangos, and a pair of bars. We see it's coming up down. All right, I'm stopped. Yo, how many of y'all remember that song? Any Gen Xers? You had to be into hip hop to know that song. Like that wasn't like a radio hit, obviously. It wasn't, but it did its thing. It was an indie rap group. I can't think of the name. Two dudes. 1990, bro. That was 35 years ago. That's crazy. 35 years. Was that 35 years ago? 90? Yeah, it's 35 years. Anyways, welcome to Epic Thoughts. I am your host, Ramon, and shout out to everybody who's watching on YouTube. Everybody's watching on HBTV. I know we are a day late and $1 short. But I gotta be honest with you, I was not feeling good yesterday. Tuesdays are normally the days we come in here, we record Epic Thoughts, and we put it out there so the world can listen to it, whatever. And for whatever reason, or not for whatever reason, I've been ailing. I've been fighting. I got into a car accident, and like I've told you before, but yesterday was one of those days I couldn't even move. Like my disc on my left side, on my right side were so impactful. I couldn't even get up. I couldn't get in the car. So I had to call in and I couldn't do anything. And it was really demobilizing. I couldn't move. So I was just stuck at home and I was like, man, I can't do it. And normally when I miss a Tuesday, what normally happens here is we just go, all right, we'll just catch the next one. We'll just do Epic Thoughts next week. And I couldn't do that because so much had happened that I wanted to talk about. And then, oh, shoot. Of course, somebody going to call me while I'm doing Epic Thoughts. And then after last night, Trump's talk, I don't know, that wasn't a State of the Union, but he spoke to Congress yesterday. And I was like, man, there's too much going on for me not to share. or not to talk about things. So I got down here, medicated myself, got down to the studio, and we are going hard in the paint, and we are here. So that's what today is. That's why Epic Thoughts is on a Wednesday today instead of a Tuesday. So shout out to Wednesday. So shout out to all the people who were looking for Epic Thoughts and they couldn't find it this morning, but Wednesday morning. But then they go like, "Oh, look, it's here." Yeah. We had to make some adjustments. Anyways, it's so good to be. Let me fix my microphone here. My mic is jacked up. All right, man. It's so good to be here with y'all today. I got some things we want to talk about, man. First of all, this weekend, I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you are doing well. It is March. It is the month of one of my favorite months of the year because this is the month of my birthday. This is the month I get older, and I'm so excited about my birthday. Anyways, I don't know if I'm that excited about my birthday, but it's my birthday month. So March is here. It's time to kick in the gear. It's time to do our thing. This is about time. So I say all that to say, my monitor just went out. That's okay. We're still rolling. I say all that to say, it's been a crazy time the last couple of days. The Oscars was Sunday, and bro, I watched the Oscars, and half the movies that they were talking about the Oscars, I had no idea even existed. And normally I'm a movie guy, I want to make movies, want to do so many different things. And so I'm always into what's hot, what's going on. And I hear rumors about different things throughout the year. The rumors lead me to go watch certain films, and we watch films. Me and my homies watch films all the time, and we talk about them. We work on projects together. We talk about what we can do, and so we went to the movie. No, I'm sorry, that's on that point. I'm gonna get to it in a minute. So we saw the Oscars, and the Best Picture. Can I just vent for a minute? I don't know who's nominating these films. It's obvious, and I've said it here on this show many times before. It's clear and it's obvious that the Academies and the Grammys work on bribes because the movies that they had selected for nominations were not the best films of last year. They just were not the best films. Now, they were great films, but they weren't Best Picture nominations. And I kept reading them and kept thinking, well, maybe I didn't see a film on there. Maybe there's a film on there that I overlooked or something like that. Because I always have a mind of like, these are the films that I would put for Best Picture. And this year, none of my thoughts for Best Picture were even brought up. And I thought to myself, well, maybe they weren't, maybe they didn't sell. Maybe they didn't do good numbers. I had, I'm looking at my list, what I had. Oh, shoot, I can't find my list. Oh, shoot. And I thought to myself, well, maybe, my list isn't marketable. Maybe my list was looking at numbers. Here we go. Here's my list. And I thought my list didn't look up numbers. Maybe my list had some discrepancies over it. I had all these different thoughts of why my list wouldn't be the best list. And then it come to me that it's obvious that these movies that and I'm not saying they weren't bad. Like Conclave wasn't bad. Honora wasn't bad. Who won Best Picture actually? Best Picture winner was Honora. Yeah. So Honora won Best Picture. The question that many people are having is, was it deserved? The only picture that I think could have beat Honora, hold on, Best Picture nomination. I gotta look at the nominees again. The only film that I thought was probably better was no, I think that was the best one. That was the best one. But many people want Dune 2. I haven't seen Dune 2 because I just was turned off. Dune just turns me off for whatever reason. It's not interesting looking to me. Um, Conclave was decent. Nico Boys was good. But Amelia Perez, bro, we'll come back to Amelia Perez. So yeah, the best picture of the year had to be All We Imagined Last Night. I mean, All We Imagined as Light. Now a lot of people heard about it because it's I think it was Indian. It was an Indian movie, Bollywood, but it was a really good movie. Also, just up there in Best Picture, and they got nomination for Best Animation, but they didn't win. Was Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. Now, I don't know why this franchise is so dope, right? It's so underrated, the Wallace and Gromit franchise. Like, this franchise they make great projects for animation films. They be killing it. And I have no beef with the animation Grammy winner. Excuse me, Oscar winner, which was Flow. I think it was Flow, right? I don't think I have a beef with that. But I will say The Good Robot was a really good film, animation wise. They didn't even mention Transformers 1, which hurts my heart. Transformers 1 was very, very good. To not get any kind of anyways, here's my whole thing about the Oscars. It's become more of a I remember a long time ago Eminem went off about the Grammys and said this is just one big marketing scheme, and I said this at the beginning of the month or beginning of February. I was like, this is just a marketing plan. Like it was just a marketing scheme to show us, oh, Beyonce is on tour, her tickets go on sale. Oh, and last year when Taylor won her Artist of the Year, when she won that award, she announced her new album, and it was just like you're just using you're using the show as a tool to market the bigger thing, and that's what it's become. And let me tell you, bro, the Oscars last weekend was just pathetic to the point where it's like it's exhausting. Now we're just giving away awards to the people who put the most money up front. You know what I'm saying? Because they get the payout for, oh, if Honora gets Best Picture, then guess what? And then that means our next project is going to be big because we're going to be from the creators of Honora. And then which again, Honora wasn't a bad film, but it wasn't the best film of the year. Okay, it was not the best film of the year. Zoe Saldana was not the best actress of all the actresses that rocked out last year. She wasn't the best. And again, Amelia Perez. Dude, I don't know. Sometimes you watch films and you just don't know if they're trying to be bad on purpose or as part of the aesthetic of the film was to not look good, right? I don't know if that was the case, but that's what Amelia Perez gives off. Like it just wasn't put together well. And I understand it was a musical. It's a movie about women. It wasn't about Mexico. It was a movie about women. So women are supposed to be the focus, and the Latin stuff, the Mexican stuff is supposed to be second nature, but it wasn't, because it wasn't handled with grace. It wasn't handled with cooperation. There wasn't a lot of heart in that movie. And so that movie to me was abysmal. Like it didn't hit. Whatever they were trying to do, it just did not hit. And I will say that going into the Oscar season, I was like, what movies did I watch in 2024 to make me go, that right there was an Oscar-worthy film? Okay, so I'm gonna look at. Look. This is how serious we are. We got the AMC stubs, right? And so on the AMC stubs, it keeps track of the movies we watch. So these are the movies we watched in theater, and I noticed that I really didn't see a lot of movies in 2024 that was considered. Okay, so Wicked, I didn't pay attention to Wicked, so um, I wasn't into it. Not into it. I'm just not into it. Okay, We Lived in Time. I think we Live in Time was underrated. I think We Live in Time. Anytime you put Andrew Garfield in a film, he's wonderful. Florence Pugh as well, wonderful. Then the chemistry between those two was incredible. Would I put in Best Picture? I probably the movies I saw. We Are in Time, good picture. We Live in Time, good picture. Piece by Piece, that was fun. It's Pharrell's Lego movie, but it was fun. Transformers 1, I mentioned that earlier. Blink Twice, I don't know, Oscar worthy, but it was a great Zoe Kravitz director debut. Good movie. Deadpool and the Wolverine. Mufasa. I didn't like Mufasa that much. Bad Boys Ride or Die. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. That was a good movie. The Fall Guy. Good movie. Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance from Most Foul. It's a good movie. Leroy, Texas. Listen, that was a sleeper, bro. Like, Leroy, Texas was a sleeper. You got if I don't know if it's up anywhere, but if you get a chance to watch it, watch it. That was a good one. Fall Guy. Fall Guy was so fun. That was a good movie. I said Bad Boys Ride or Die. And then this one was last year's nomination, American Fiction. I saw it in January last year. So I didn't watch a lot of films, but I did watch some of them. Black Box Diaries. I'm looking at my Netflix. Which one's Black Box Diaries? That was a good one. Molly and Max in the Future. That was a good one. And Lola. So there's some good movies that just didn't get recognized at the Academy Awards. Now, what I'm starting to notice is what the Academy finds good movies and what we find as good movies are like the public are really, really different, right? So then you look at like Rotten Tomato scores. The only first of all, let's just call it spade a spade. So Rotten Tomatoes, if you don't know, Rotten Tomatoes is like a very I don't know if it's complicated, but it's a scoring system between using critics and fans alike, and they're both bidding on, they both put their 2 cents in on different films and stuff like that. And throughout their algorithm on their website, they come up with a rating system or a scoring system for their films, and it's a percentile. So if it's a high percentage, it's called certified fresh. Well, listen, here's how we know we've missed it. None of the 2024 Best Picture nominees had certified fresh. None of them. They actually did they released their numbers from 2024, and they went from the most certified fresh to the worst film of 2024. Now, at the top of 2024's certified fresh is a 100% Rotten Tomatoes rating, was All We Imagine Is Light. Between critics and fans, they love that movie. 100% certified. 100% certified on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 2, Wallace and Gromit. The people have spoken. The people have spoken. They love Wallace and Gromit. I don't know why, but I'll watch them all day. Nowhere Special is 3. Girls Will Be Girls is 4. On Becoming a Genuine Foul, a genuine foul. That's 5. Listen, you have to scroll for a very long time before you get to any of the Oscar noms. Now, let me just say, Number 19 on this list. Top 20. Number 19 on this list. Wild Robot. I think Foul is like number 25, 23. And then we have a bunch of movies that no one's talked about, no one's seen. Crossing, Tiger Stripes, The Remarkable Life of Evelyn, A Real Pain, Strange Darling, Kneecap, Diddy, maybe Diddy, not Diddy, Oddity, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, Fancy Dance, Rebel Ridge, Io Capiano, I'm Still Here, which was a nomination, was the first nomination to show up on this list. Best Picture nod. 40. It's ranked 40 in 2024's Rotten Tomatoes. 40. And then we don't see another one. I'm talking about a 2024 nomination. We don't see another one until number 60, I believe. No, not even 60. 61 is Anora. So Best Picture, the Best Picture winner was ranked 61st on Rotten Tomatoes. Man, my phones are going on. 61st on Rotten Tomatoes, which tells us what? What they telling us on Sunday is not reflective of what we seen. These are the numbers I'm reading. What I'm reading right now is from the people. Right? Conclave is 62. The Brutalist is 63. These are the movies that you heard mentioned on Sunday night. Dune 2 is not even until, because I think Dune 2 was kind of split down the middle on how people liked it or not. Dune 2 was 80. Dune 2 was 80, bro. Like, September 5th was 82. That was a good one. Yeah, this was crazy. Inside Out 2 was 89. Heretic was 90. So this crazy that all these movies were out this is just last year's numbers. These are just last year's numbers. Furiosa was 100. My Old Ass was 101, which was Nickel Boys was 102. Nickel Boys was also a nomination, 102. Cabrini. I'm trying to find Nosferatu. I don't even see Nosferatu. Monkey Man was 109. Transformers 1 was 110. And I'm okay with 110 because, there was a lot. It was good. Wicked was 116. Challengers. Oh, I forgot Challengers. I did see Challengers. I don't know why that's not on my AMC pass. But Challengers 117. I know there's a lot of people who split on Challengers. Better Man was 118. So, yeah. We can see right here that what we saw on Sunday does not reflect. Long Legs was scary as heck, 127. Quiet Place Day 1, 128. Smile 2, 129. Sonic 3, 130. Fans have spoken here. I'll follow Rotten Tomatoes before I follow what the Oscars, because I've never really rocked with what the Oscars believed was their best film, because it clearly there's many movies here that there's plenty of movies here that we haven't seen and stuff like that. I think where people need to get twisted, we need to kind of straighten up is we don't need to be told through the Academy and by movie makers what's the best movie, right? First of all, the movie industry is struggling right now. The movie industry is in a challenging place. They're not going to. I'm frustrated with movies just as well. We went to see Brave New World this weekend, and Brave New World, it's I think it was like 67 on Rotten Tomatoes, um, which means it's not bad, but it's not great. It's just kind of like, it's there. And I watched it. I I personally loved the Red Hulk scenes. The Red Hulk scenes were amazing. That was like. This is awesome. So I liked Red Hulk. I love Harrison Ford. Um, he's hard. It's hard for Harrison Ford to give you a bad performance of anything. I feel like I don't know if it's superhero fatigue. I don't know if it's MCU fatigued, but it just didn't hit like I wanted it to hit. And Captain America is, in my opinion, the best series in the MCU franchise, right? Like Winter Soldier was probably one of the best movies outside the Avengers. If you took the Avengers out and just went each individual franchise, I think Captain America has probably the best films because I thought Civil War was incredible. Some people may argue it. I thought Civil War was incredible. I thought Winter Soldier was a really great standalone film. It could have been a standalone film. I didn't like the first Avenger, but I will tell you right now that Civil War and Winter Soldier made up for that first one. Okay, and the first one wasn't bad, I just wasn't a fan of it. This one, it's going to have to be a miss for me, dude. And some of the acting was just so bad. It was so bad. But I remember having this conversation with these guys about films, and they're just hardcore movie buffs, and they're just talking about how we're frustrated with what the industry is giving us. Like all it is. And I remember sitting in the theater, going through the trailers, thinking to myself, all we're getting is remakes and sequels. And the sequels we're getting no one asked for, right? No one asked for another Jurassic Park series, right? In this Jurassic Park, there's no Chris Pratt. There's no Jeff Goldblum. Now, Scarlett Johansson. We will watch Scarlett Johansson. Of course we will. Of course. So, and Mahershala Ali, of course I'm going to watch that. So I'm going to watch it. But at the same time, it's like, bro, like, what, how many times can you tell the story of people trying to survive dinosaurs? Right? When they first did it, it was incredible. Part 2, Part 3 was like, oh God. And then when they did World, it was like World was good. And then the second one was like, and that third one is forgetful. This is the seventh. And they're trying to make the dinosaur scarier, with more teeth, more bite, more vicious. They were vicious enough in the first one, right? Like, there's not much you can do in this thing to make this thing except making it completely ridiculous, and that is an option. But we're tired of seeing sequels, and we're tired of seeing remakes. I don't want to see another remake Batman. I want new and unique movies, which is one of the reasons why Heritage Park is here, because we're supposed to make unique movies. But here's the thing. Hollywood is not going to take that risk because Hollywood is suffering in the theaters, right? They're taking hits, bro. They're taking hits. And so because of that, they won't take chances with unique stories, right? I was telling them we were talking about different movies that wouldn't be made today because of the system that we're in now. And one of my favorite movies, top 10 of mine, is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And I said, we were lucky we got Scott Pilgrim versus the World. They would never put money up for that movie today because they can't guarantee, because of streaming and all this other stuff. Most of the times, most movies don't make their budget back in the theaters. Okay. Movies just don't make their budget back in the theaters. What they normally get their money back is DVD sales, right? So if a movie doesn't do well in the theaters, like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, it didn't do incredibly well in the theaters, but it held its own, and I think they got their budget back. But where they made their money was on DVDs. And because I remember buying my DVD, I was so pumped. And because it wasn't on streaming yet. So I still have it on DVD. And when it came on streaming, I was excited, but I have it. And so that was another way. It was like a second wave that production companies were getting their movies made. Now, just like the music industry, just like television, just like how we watch things, how we take in content, how we take in entertainment has completely changed in 2025. So now we can't do things like we used to do. So they haven't been able to adjust to streaming and movies going straight to Netflix or movies going to Prime Videos. And with that being said, it's leveled the playing field for indies and people who just, I have a small budget but I know how to make together a good film. I got a good script. And now big Hollywood's got to deal with the little guys, the Dallas Jenkins over here in I think he's in Austin, and all these different and A24 is now doing. You see A24 now on the film, you're like, this might be something because A24 knows how to make indie films work. They know how to make films work. And so now I don't need to go to Disney or Universal, or I don't need to go to Paramount or MGM. I can go to A24 and they'll take a risk on me because people see that brand and they're like, oh, okay, I'll go there, So Hollywood is in trouble. That's what I got from the Oscars, that Hollywood might be in a little bit of trouble, and good because they've been playing the boy game for a long time. They've been playing the Us and No More and making movies, and they're just so out of touch with reality, bro. They're so out of touch with reality, and you could tell when they make their speeches. They're still talking about the same hot button topics, and they're just saying what they think the people want to hear. And let me just stop by saying how I've always been the kind of person on Epic Thoughts where I've never really gone hardcore on like the woke and all this other stuff, but I'm going to say something very controversial before we change gears. I don't know. Maybe I didn't hear. So put in the comments if I'm wrong, but I didn't hear nobody speak up against the 70 Christians that were beheaded. The 70 Christians that we had a couple weeks ago, right? We're not hearing any information about this. If you don't know, let me pull it up for you. 70 Christians were beheaded by Islam extremists. Hold on. Let me get the right date. In the Congo. On February 13, 2025. Militants. Hold on. This is from Open Doors. On February 13, 2025, militants rounded up 70 Christians in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, took them to a church, and then killed all 70 of them. Open Door field sources say the violence began at about 4 a.m. on Thursday, February 13, 2025, as militants captured and tied up some 20 Christians in the community of Meba. The militants are suspected to be members of the Allied Democrat Forces, a rebel group with ties to the Islamic State group. Militants went door to door by saying, get out, don't make any noise, says an elder in another town about 40 kilometers from Meba. 20 Christian men and women came out and they tied them up for an unknown destination. Meba is predominantly Christian and is located in North Kivu province in eastern DRC, which has also been home to fierce fighting as another rebel group has taken over territory. After the 20 were taken, the rest of the village was agitated and began to try to figure out how to free the people who had been abducted. They gathered together to develop a plan, but by the time they met, militias had surrounded their village. Open Door sources reported that the extremists captured about 50 other Christians and tied them up. All 70 captives were taken to a Protestant church in Kasanga, where they were killed inside with machetes or hammers. Field sources say that even several days after the attack, some families had not been able to bury their dead because of the insecurity in the region. Many Christians have fled the area to somewhere deemed safer. We don't know what to do or how to pray. We have enough of massacres and an elder in a nearby church. May God's will alone be done. It's crazy. College kids get on college camp. People get on college campus and start protesting in the middle of graduation ceremonies, church services. We're going to churches and we're condemning all the Palestinians. We're all the violence against Palestine. It's cool. That's what we do. We're going to stand. We're going to stop traffic in LA, downtown LA, because of the stuff that's happening in Ukraine. We're going to march. We're going to march and we're going to make a ruckus and we're going to fight over all the stuff that's happening in the world today. And we're going to stand for Palestine. We're going to stand for Ukraine. We're going to stand for Russia. We're going to do all these things now. And every award, this goes out to the people in Palestine who are losing their families. Now 70 Christians are murdered and you're quiet. 70 Christians are murdered. Now you quiet. You ain't saying nothing. And the news ain't covering it. Nobody's talking about it. That's how I know you ain't worth anything. Because you sit there, you talk about everybody else. But then when 70 Christians get beheaded and murdered with machetes and hammers, that's brutal. And you say nothing? You're so out of touch, reality, dog. You're so out of touch. It's not even funny. That's how out of touch you are. Now we ain't saying nothing. Now life used to be valuable. Now life ain't valuable because of 70 Christians. Is that what it is? Now we got nothing to say. Now we have nothing to stand for. Now they're not marching for 70 Christians getting killed in the Congo. Excuse me for my rant. That just shows you the hatred. Like, God forbid we say anything about a Jewish person. God forbid that a comedian makes a Jewish comment. God forbid something happens to that culture. But when Christianity gets attacked, no one says nothing. All of a sudden, we're just conveniently quiet. We're conveniently not talking about it. Interesting. I know the scripture tells us, hey, to be absent in body is to be present with the Lord. And God's going to accept those martyrs. And it's still sad to see people lose their life that way. But we pray for the martyrs, man. Those have a special place in heaven. I believe that 100%. And God's got a special place for them. However, I find it very odd. I knew when I read it a couple of weeks ago, no one's going to talk about this except the people with like 12 podcast listeners. Just because the podcast got 1,000 listeners don't mean they're telling the truth. Because a lot of them ain't talking about the 70 Christians that were killed. It rains on the just and the unjust. And it's funny how people just make a big stink about everybody else and they want to make stands about everything else. But then when it happens to the believer, there's nothing to be said. That's interesting, right? Who knows? Maybe I'm making too much of it, right? Maybe I'm just making too much of it because I'm a Christian and I feel like if we should get the same stank. If you give that stank to the Palestinians, if you give that stank to the Jewish, if you give that stank to all these other people, give it to the Christians too. Right? Where's the same energy? They're not giving us the same energy. I find that mad disheartening. Right? It's mad disheartening is what it is. I said I had to do a show today because of just the last 48 hours or the last couple of days. Trump spoke to Congress yesterday. This can't be real. Where we're at in the country can't be real, man. Like, first of all, I've never been into politics until Trump shows up. And just the response of people, like how people, we can't even have quorum, bro. Like, I don't know if you watched any of the I don't know if it was a State of the Union address or what, if it was he spoke to Congress, any of that, bro. He's been president in his second term. This is his second term. He's been running the government for 45 days. We're not even halfway through the first 100 days. And that's where a lot of people get the idea of, okay, we got an idea of what the president's going to do. We've had the first 100 days. We haven't even got halfway through. We're at 45. Today is day 46. And I can tell you from a person with no dog in the game, I was hopeful going into this year because he was in the office, to where I'm like, I don't know now. I still haven't. I'm still not going to be up here and be like, oh, he got to go, blah blah blah. But I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm not sure what's happening. This Elon Musk being involved kind of gives me cause to pause, because I'm like, why are you here? Like, what is your angle? Like, what's your angle? Why are you here? What are you getting out of it? That makes me it makes it like, it looks weird. Forget where you stand on politics. You gotta admit that Elon being involved with Doge at the level I know he's a business mind. He knows how to cut he knows how to cut corners and stuff like that. But Tesla and X and Doge are three different entities. Like, he finds success in Tesla because Tesla is built off of creativity and ingenuity and things like that. X is just a simple, like, B2B or B2C company. That's okay. Doge is a federal, like, government, and I understand, and the spending, and I don't know if what Trump is saying, like some of the things he said last night, where money was going to departments that no one's ever heard of, or was going to fix things that no one even know what it is. I don't know how accurate that is. And so because of that, Elon's coming in and seeing discrepancies in the money with Doge, and he's making cuts, and these cuts are causing people to lose their jobs. That's just the basic of what's been happening. And I don't know, if you gotta make cuts, you gotta make cuts. I don't know. All I know is that for the last 45 days, it's been chaotic, and there is no hope for the common man. So that's where I'm kind of nervous with Trump's second term. And I thought that, because I'll just say right now, Biden didn't have a plan for common. Like, he didn't have a plan for people who are out here grinding, trying to make things meet. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are, it's ridiculous putting food on our kids' plates. Like, it's like, there's things I want to do, and I realize I had a hard conversation with my partner the other day, and we were just like, hey, you know what? I don't even know if this is possible with the way the finances and the way inflation is. There's things that we just want to do that 10, 15 years ago, easily you can do. We don't know if we can do it because just how our inflation and just how money is. It's just inflation. I mean, partner. I said partner, like my girl. I'll just call her my girl. She's more than, but my life partner, she's my girl. And we were just talking about, like, we don't know if we can make it, like, financially. Can we get over the hump? Like, bro, between the two of us, we work in like 8 jobs. Like, I'm literally working 4 jobs. It still can't put food on the plate every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of country is this that we're living in, where the common person doesn't have freedom to just take a break? Because if they have freedom to take a break, they can't eat. And it was like the conversation. I've always been, this is my thing about a president. I feel and believe that a president should be able to get both sides of the table at the table, work together, and figure this junk out, right? Last night was nothing but a one partisan conversation. He was talking to Republicans only. He was pooping on the Democrats. And you know what? At the same time, the Democrats don't get an out on this because you were acting like children, right? To Democrat Al Green, like who during Trump's speech got up, protested, yelled, started going back with Trump over the certain things, and the House had to get him removed from chambers. Like they had to escort him out. And this man's yelling with his cane. Like, this is not the moment. And then you had other Democrat Congress people holding up signs and little placards that say false and what about Medicaid and all these other things and all these programs that are getting cut by Doge because it's just this Congress for this nation was supposed to be by the people for the people. And they're not for the people. Neither side is. And I was listening to I listen to a lot of news in the mornings because I listen to work. I do worship, then I do news, then I do hip hop to get my energy up. And I started thinking to myself, if you don't have hope in the Father, this is stressful. If you don't have hope in God, if you don't believe that God and his righteousness will take care of you, and maybe this is something I need to struggle with too, that I need to fix with too, because working 4 jobs to feed my kids and like running completely out of gas where I can't do things that really matter, right? Because I understand you're doing what you can to feed your family. But if you can't do the things that really matter, like spending time with them, making memories, taking your little big head to ASO, you know what I'm saying? Taking your big head to Little League and watching them hit grounders. Like those things mean the world to kids. And it sucks that, parents are missing out on that stuff because, dude, my light bill is ridiculous. I got to pay it. Eggs is like crack prices. It's like crack prices to buy eggs. At what point do we have to be like, yo, I'm going to live in the world, but I'm not going to be of this world. I'm going to trust in God 100%. I'm going to put my hope in him. That's a scary place to be, but I don't think it's any scarier just listening to these Congress. Just politically, it's scarier when they can't even act, they can't even have decorum. They can't even sit with somebody who is limited in what they can do. Now listen. Trump, in my opinion, in the last 45 days, has crossed some boundaries. He's overreached in some areas. And it seems like he is trying to turn this into a dictatorship a little bit. I know that I believe in our Constitution won't let him. So I'm okay with it. But even then, bro, just the conversation with Zelensky, that was wild, bro. That was you didn't even tell us thank you. Like, who's this guy that we made our president? It sounds like we have a gangbanger. He's not even a gangbanger. He's like a mafia guy. JD was like trying to. It was so funny. JD was trying to match. Vice President JD Vance was trying to match Trump's energy, and I was like, It was cringy. Was it just me, or was it cringy to watch? Listen, we are Americans. By no thought do I want to be anywhere else in this country. However, with that being said, we got to put our hope in Jesus. And in my book that I wrote, The Hidden Agenda, there's a sin that I wrote in there called the sin of allegiance. And sometimes we'll put other things above the calling that God has for us, right? So we put our allegiance to the country, or our allegiance to our culture, or our allegiance to our religion, or our allegiance to our race. None of those things are going to supersede my allegiance to the Father. So I will think on God things. I will think on God's purpose first before I think on the purpose of what our country needs, what my culture needs, what my race needs. I think on that of what God wants me to think on. Okay. So because of that, I will be open to minister to wherever God wants me to minister. With that said, I believe more so now we need to be very hyper aware that our allegiance needs to be to the Father and nothing else in this next few years in this country. You can't for a minute call yourself a Christian, but then put the purpose of the culture over the purpose of Christ. You can't put the cause of the nation above the cause of Christ. You can't weigh the allegiance of your race over the allegiance of Christ. Those things, remember, all those things that aren't Christ are going to pass away. So your allegiance to the nation will pass away, your allegiance to your culture, your allegiance to your race, all that stuff, your neighborhood, your high school. You just do a lot of different things. Your church, those things will pass away. The only thing God's going to look at is what did you do as it relates to allegiance to him. There are pastors that I no longer rock with, like have literally said, bro, this relationship is over. Like in my heart and in my head and verbally, I've told pastors, I can't fool with you no more. I know you love God, but you love your culture more. You love your race more. And I can't fool with you because of that. And I just can't do it, because when it's thrown in the fire, when it's all said and done and it's thrown in the fire, God is not going to sit there and say, I love what you did for the Black nation and all for the people, Black Americas, and you fought the racism. And bro, God didn't ask us to do none of that. He asked us, listen, they're killing Christians for loving Jesus. That's the cause of Christ. That's greater. That's greater than somebody not liking me because I'm Black. I actually get more hate about being Christian than I've ever gotten about being Black. And I laugh. I laugh when you don't like me because I'm Black, because I'm like, that shows how ignorant you are. But when people rip me a new one for being Christian, I'm heartbroken, because I'm like, you're the one that, listen, you're the one we want to give Jesus to. Now, here's the other side of it. When the cause is for Christ and not all these other allegiances, what that does is it gives you in perspective that is not us versus them, right? It's not you versus them. It's you versus the principalities and the powers of the air. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principalities and battles and princes of the air. So that means my battle isn't with people. The scripture tells us in Proverbs that he who wins souls is wise. So my purpose on this earth is to win souls. So therefore, the people who don't agree with me are not my enemy. They're the prize. It's almost like X-Men. The X-Men don't fight the humans. The X-Men fights entities that cause to destroy humans. And even when humans are mad at X-Men and humans push back against the X-Men theory because they hate mutants, that, I know there's some X-Men like Wolverine, like, well, kill them all. But, you know, the truth of the matter is her purpose is, look, they're going to hate us. They won't tolerate us, but we still have to fight because they're important. That's how I see it. So I'm not going to fight with the LGBTQ community. You're the prize. I'm supposed to bring you to Jesus. You're the prize. Like, the prize isn't to win the fight against non-believers. The prize is not to win the fight against atheists. The prize is to win the atheist. So your debating shouldn't be to fight and win a debate. Your debate should be to bring them closer to Jesus. So if the end game for you is not bringing that person to Jesus, then you got to change your thought pattern, because your thought pattern should be that connected to what the Bible says. And the Bible says if you win souls, then you'll be wise. You're not wise because you beat a kid up in a debate. That don't make you wise. You may have actually pushed that kid further away from the gospel. You're wise. The scripture tells us you're wise if you win that kid over. So, heritageparkprod.com is the website. Where are you at? Are you showing up on the screen? Because my monitor is out. Where are you? Oh, there it is. heritageparkprod.com is the website. Get all your HP information and get all your gear. Man, get some gear, bro. Support Heritage Park. And listen, again, our show is brought to you in part by StreamYard. We use StreamYard. We love StreamYard. See that little thing at the bottom right there? Oh, it's over here. Yep, over there, down there. That StreamYard does that. You can do everything on StreamYard. It's really cool. There's a link in the description. It gives you $10 off, I believe, or 10%, something like that. I should know that. Sorry, StreamYard. But anyways, it gives you a great discount. Get started. I will use it. I will not use anywhere else. There's others that come close to giving the offer, but nobody does it like StreamYard. All right. Look, HP family, I love you. Thank you for support. Thank you for your likes and all that other stuff. And I will holler at y'all next week. Have